Hi guys, welcome to CJ's Keto Kitchen. If you are looking for home-style recipes made ketogenic that the whole family will enjoy, then you've come to the right channel. And tonight we are making an easy one skillet dish, and it is going to be Keto Chicken Marsala. So come along with me and let's get started. So chicken marsala is an Italian-American dish, and it is very simple. It only has a few ingredients, and I'm going to be making mine in one skillet. It's going to be very fast and very delicious. So let's go ahead and get started. So we already have pre-cooked our chicken thighs, and I have those here on a plate. And I have about 2 pounds of chicken thighs. If you absolutely prefer breast meat, you could use breast meat, but I would suggest pounding it thin. The first thing that you want to put into your skillet is going to be 2 tablespoons of butter. And I am just working that around with my wooden spoon, kind of scraping up the bits a little bit. So this is how we are going to cook our mushrooms, and that is going to be our next ingredient. So I have 8 ounces of mushrooms. Now I happen to be using cremini, but you could use portobello, or you could also just use plain white button mushrooms, whatever you enjoy. And we are just going to let those saute in our skillet for a few minutes before we add our other ingredients. Because the Marsala wine is going to be the star of our chicken marsala, I'm going to keep the seasoning quite simple for this dish. So I'm going to be using pepper and salt and some garlic. So I have salt and pepper here. And I have 2 cloves of fresh garlic. I'm going to be adding some diced shallot. I find shallots next to the garlic in my grocery store, and I find that they are a little bit more mild than onion. But if you wanted to use onion, you could, and I have about 3 tablespoons of diced shallot. I also have about 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme, and I find that using fresh herbs is so wonderful, especially in very simple meals such as this one. Okay, our mushrooms have softened, and now I'm going to start adding our liquids. The first thing that I'm going to add is 2/3 of a cup of chicken broth. And I'm just continuing to scrape the bits off the bottom of my skillet, because that's where all of our flavor is at, and we definitely want to incorporate all of those yummy bits into our sauce. So the next ingredient that I'm going to be adding is, of course, Marsala wine. Now Marsala is a Sicilian fortified wine grown in Italy, and it is the namesake of this dish. You can find Marsala in the cooking aisle with the rest of the vinegars, but it will be slightly different than if you were to go to the spirit aisle and actually buy Marsala wine, which is what I have done. It's not very expensive, and you can generally find it with the rest of the spirits. But what makes this different than if you just went to the regular aisle is that this is definitely an indigenous product, meaning this one comes from Italy, and what you buy on the grocery store shelf may not have. But it's very delicious, and I'm going to be putting in 1/3 of a cup. You want to try and find one that is dry and not sweet, because the carbs will be much lower. When you cook with alcohol, all of the alcohol is burnt off during the cooking process, so this will not have an alcohol flavor or be something that you can't serve to your family. It's just going to provide a beautiful, rich, buttery flavor to your chicken marsala. Okay, so we are combining that with the rest of our ingredients. Now the next thing that I'm going to put into our sauce before we let it simmer is some heavy cream. I have 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream here. So I'm just going to slowly combine all these ingredients together. And then I'm going to briefly make the heat high so that we have a low boil. And then I'm going to turn it down and I'm going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes or so. Now your sauce is going to be thin. That is the nature of this sauce, even in traditional carb chicken marsala. You're not going to get much thickness until the end of cooking, so don't let that bother you. Okay, so I'm going to raise the heat, and once it comes to a low boil, we'll turn the heat down and let it simmer, and you're going to look for a rich brownness. So you can see our sauce is coming to a low boil, so I am now going to turn my heat down to about medium-low. And we are going to go ahead and let this simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes so all of our flavors will combine and our sauce will slowly turn a deeper shade of brown. Okay, our sauce has been cooking for about 10 minutes and I'm now going to put our chicken thighs back into our sauce to finish cooking and so that all of our flavors will combine. Definitely make sure you get all of the juices off your plate because that's where all the good stuff is. Okay, I'm going to let these warm up for about 5 minutes or so and then we'll be able to serve and CJ can have a taste.
Hi, this is a really good dish. This chicken marsala is good. I wouldn't know that this was any different than chicken marsala that I got from an Italian restaurant. I think the last time I had some chicken marsala was probably from the Olive Garden, and this is a keto low carb version and it's delicious. We've had this here for 3 days now and it's actually gotten better, the taste, as it's sat, and all the flavors have had time to kind of meld together. You won't be sorry if you make this recipe, I guarantee it. Thanks for watching. Bye.